we have received tons of brand new information about Magic the Gathering's Final Fantasy crossover. And in that information, we got a gem. Well, 77 gems to be exact. That's right, the serialized card in Final Fantasy is going to be a Chocobo. And I believe that we all assumed there'd be some kind of Chocobo special in the set, but the serialized 77 of 77 Chocobo run is going to be a crazy collectible chased by Magic and Final Fantasy fans alike. So I want to do something completely irresponsible and outrageous in today's video. I want to break down the serialized cards of Magic's past at a large scale, and I want to use all of that information to make an estimate, a realistic estimate of what I think this card is going to be worth. Now, I will warn each and every one of you, this is going to be a conversation had out loud. We're going to see how we get through our thought process and come to a final number, but none of this is financial advice. I know it's 2025. I can't believe I still have to say that on YouTube, but if you go out and spend a ton of money based on this for fun video, that's on you, not on me. All right, let's get into some estimation and wild speculation. Now, intros aside, I will tell you I am crazy excited for the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy set. The numbers coming in are insane. We're going to do a video on all of the pre-sales on TCG Player up to this point, and it is blowing other sets out of the water, because that's what we do here. We track all of the sold information from popular online websites. We put that in a vault, and we use it to compare eras of Magic the Gathering set to set on a similar platform, and we use that data to tell us how to spend our hard-earned money, because the more information we have, the better the consumer we can be. So if you like conversations like this and like those, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because it helps a small channel like mine more than you can possibly imagine. Further down, there's a channel membership button. The project is all completely supported by the channel members, so I don't have to pay the server costs out of my pocket. So big shout out to all of the channel members. Thank you for supporting the mission and supporting the channel here. But the Chocobo is the topic of conversation today, and man, oh man, I cannot wait to get into it. When I saw this card, I instantly thought to myself, what do we think the value of this card is going to be? Hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars? Are we going to approach near the One Ring-ish levels? And spoiler alert, I don't think we're going to get quite there. 1 versus 77 of 2 various print runs is extremely different. But I do think there are several factors that go into analyzing and guessing what this card is going to be worth. First is the popularity of the set. The popularity and success of a Magic the Gathering set goes a long way to the value of its cards. Second is the iconic nature of the card. Looking at the One Ring and looking at serialized cards in the past, iconic cards, things that are near and dear to people's hearts, seem to do better. And finally, Magic the Gathering is the best and most played TCG in the entire known universe. Maybe aliens have a TCG that's more played than Magic, but up until human history to this point, we haven't found one. And the playability of this card is going to matter. We're going to take that all into account today and try to estimate the value of this card. And we're going to start with the success of the set. And needless to say, Final Fantasy is going to be a wildly successful set. And this matters because you look back at things like Karlov Manor. Karlov Manor was not exactly a jump off the page, a run out of the gate successful Magic the Gathering release. And because of this, the serialized cards, while they were rarer out of a 250 run, did not sell as well on the secondary market. Now, some of them were up and they were trying to claim exorbitant prices and really fetch all the value that they could because it was such a limited run. But because the fans and most people did not enjoy the set, they did not find it fun to get into, they did not form any kind of attachment to those cards that plane or that moment, the cards didn't sell as well they probably should for their out of 250 run. And remember, most serialized cards up to that point were out of 500. So cutting the run in half and cutting the number of cards down was a massive move for collectability and value, but even so, the cards didn't move as well. And conversely, you look on the opposite side of that, of to something like Assassin's Creed, where you had a lower run, but the cards were a little bit more iconic, but the set wasn't successful, and you still kind of see the same trends of, the set's not as successful, even though the cards are fewer and farther between, we don't see as high of a value. And then you look on the other side of something like Tarkir Dragonstorm, where you have a Mox Jasper, and yes, it's only the only serialized card of the set. There's far fewer of them, but it is a much more successful set. It's a more iconic card. People are going after it, and because of this, the card contains a higher value. I think Final Fantasy is going to fall on the top end of that list, adding value to these cards. The fact that these Chocobos, these out of 77 is a crazy lower printed number, and it's going to come in what might be the most iconic Magic the Gathering set of the era, leads me to believe that we are in for a treat for the value of these cards, meaning I believe we are going to surpass all of the serialized cards from regular Magic the Gathering sets up to this point, including Brothers War. I think March of the Machine had a couple, and then we just talked about it, Tarkir Dragonstorm, all of those few and in between. I think we're going to far surpass them, and I think we're going to even surpass things like Universes Beyond, Assassin's Creed, because of the perceived iconic nature of the set. But that's not the only thing that matters. The iconic card also matters, and we just mentioned Universes Beyond, Assassin's Creed, and I think this is where the iconic nature of the card might hurt this just a little bit. And I don't mean that in the sense that it's not a good card, it's not worth anything, or it won't be an iconic Magic the Gathering card, but I do think that something like Assassin's Creed, Universes Beyond Assassin's Creed, pulls from reality, pulls from history, and you get an iconic nature just in that motion, right? You get this iconic feeling, this vibe from these cards when you pull from reality. And we actually see the iconic nature of the cards pushing some value when it comes to some of the sets that we mentioned previously. We see Wormcoil Engine, Swiftfoot Boots from Brothers War holding a good amount of value in that sense. And then even beyond that, when you start to look at maybe a fairer comp, we see the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth and the Soul Ring, the human, dwarven, elven soul rings that are serialized in those boxes, offering and, commanding some crazy value. And this is because not only is the set good, like we talked about in the first half of this video, but the iconic nature of the card is insane. When you think Magic the Gathering, you think the most popular format in the world. You think Commander, you think EDH, you think multiplayer, you think Soul Ring. And because of this, the value of those cards go beyond just collectors, just people who are Lord of the Rings fans, just people who are looking to grade, but it goes into some of the crazy psychopaths out there like me that just like to bling out our decks and be like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a serialized Soul Ring to play it. It's gonna be insane. It'll show up 1 in every 4 games, and when it shows up, I'm gonna feel awesome. And that is a core tenet in the way that Magic the Gathering fans in this day and age collect Magic cards. We look to bling out our decks. And because of that, iconic Magic the Gathering cards, cards that we hold near and dear to our hearts, are going to command a higher value because it pulls in that audience. And because of this and the limited run, we look at prices of Soul Rings as our kind of direct comp in this little section of the video, and we see anywhere from 1.4, 1.6K to upwards of 4K for raw copies being sold in the secondary market. Now, there are some examples of graded PSA 10 cards going for some pretty insane numbers. I encourage you after this video to go check that out, or hey, join the Discord down below, or maybe some people will be talking about it. I know Marcus, the serialized guy, is going to have all of the information from the Discord down there, so big shout out to the Discord. You guys are constantly crushing it. Thank you to all of you for sharing some information, having some good conversations about Magic. I really, really think that this, this comp range is a little more fair, but in my opinion, the Chocobo is going to surpass this comp range. We're looking at that 1.6 to 4 comp range, and that's where we're going to surpass. And even though I think we're going to surpass that, the Soul Ring has the iconic nature. It's got a good set. It's got everything that we think, and it's got the last tenet that we haven't talked about yet, playability. I think Chocobo is going to be on there. Let's not skip ahead too far. The playability of this card is where I think it's going to suffer. Suffer is probably too strong of a word, but it's not going to do as well. Let's just imagine this is not exactly, it's not a bad card. I'm not saying that this is a useless card. I'm not saying no one's going to make use of it, but it's no Soul Ring. It's no Swiftfoot Boots. It's no This is just my personal opinion, just to trigger some people, Howling Mine, because Howling Mine should be a staple in every Commander deck, because frankly, it's awesome. It's just such a fun card to play. I digress. The playability of this card in the world's most played TCG is going to have it take a hit. Being a single color, being just a green card is going to limit its availability. And I know you're in the comment section, well, every Commander deck plays green because it's the best card, and everyone Commander deck plays white because it's the best color, and the color I like is the worst color, and the color you play is the best color, and I don't want to get into all that. But just limiting the number of people who are going to chase this card for its playability will, in a small way, affect its value. What it won't do more than affect its value at the top end is it won't boost its value above and beyond where it should be. I think this will be a fairly reasonably and stable valued card after some of the hype. The hype is gonna get insane, but I think the stability of this card will shine through because there isn't just a ton of people, looking to chase it down and say, hey, I must have this for my deck to show off to my friends to bling out. The playability of this card is where things will suffer, and we see in the past, like we mentioned, playability being a boost, but just because this card suffers from playability, suffers just feels like the wrong word to use. It's not going to hit on the playability as much as some of the iconic cards. It doesn't mean that it's going to hurt in value. And in fact, I think the value of this card is going to land anywhere between $10,000 and $14,000. That's right. My official prediction for this card is somewhere between $10,000 and $14,000. Whoa, we started at 1.6 to 4. How did we get here? What the heck? How did we find our way from 1.4 to 6 and being above that to all the way at 10? Well, I think we're going to see some residual hype. Soul Rings and Serialized the One Rings in the past have made headlines, have made news articles, and because of that, I think we're going to see a small sector of the community do what they did with Lord of the Rings, which is major streamers. We had Penguin Zero, Asmongold, Wubby's always been a Magic fan, but they got back into Magic, and they were opening these products and opening these boxes, chasing these serialized cards. And the 77 of 77, the 77 print run, is a more realistic ask than a 1 of 1. It is within the realm of reality. I can trick myself into believing I'm going to pull one of these because there's not just a single one of them out there. Because of this, I think the widespread information, the hype is going to be boosted on these cards, and the cards are going to feel more attainable. I mean, obviously, mathematically they are, but realistically they're not. We're not opening one of these cards, ladies and gentlemen. Like, don't chase this card in this set. That should go without saying. But it's going to feel far more obtainable. 77 times, to be exact. It's going to feel like something you can actually get your hands on. And because of that, people are going to attach themselves to it more. You didn't have a chance to attach yourself to the One Ring because there was just, there's one of them. There was no chance you were getting them, and it was over right away. I believe this card sits within that realm in the short term, and in the long term probably dips down a little bit. You could see a couple go below 10, but I think that's where we settle between 10 to 14, and because of that, this set's going to do numbers. We're going to talk about the sales data later in this week. 10 to 14 is my official prediction. You can tell me in the comment section below if I'm absolutely crazy. You kind of saw my thought process, the numbers behind it, how I got there, and I know that it seems high, but I'm kind of baking in some of the hype and excitement that we talk about all the time on this channel. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to handpick a video that I think you will like after this one right here. So if you want to watch me get wrecked on Pokemon grading with PSA, click this link right here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, you all know me. My name is Josh, and we'll see you around. Okay, bye everyone.